on early pressure, like Odd Road. Putting a wide board full of dumb stuff with dumb secrets in the way just is really dumb and makes it hard for the Odd Road player to push through. So a couple decks it's good against, a couple decks that it's really bad against.
I think SamuelTsao just really likes hitting face. He's a guy that's historically always played aggressive strategies, and it's kind of something that he really likes to do. For better or for worse, like aggros has been weak in metas, and SamuelTsao still brought aggro lineup.
Yeah.
So he's gonna start off with Odd Rogue versus the Death Rattle Cube Paladin, featuring Kangor's Endless Army. You are not mistaken by looking at that card and thinking, is that really what you should be playing? Because, you know, we thought that mechs were cool, but Magnetic was like a solid mechanic, but not like, you know, meta-defining.
Yeah.
This is Jinsoo's pet deck, and this is something that he loved, for better or for worse, in the previous playoffs. And honestly, I think this deck does still have a lot of potential. I think just Death Rattle package in general with Mechano Egg and other things is just really strong.
Well, Paladin itself is just so hot right now.
It's so hot.
Yeah. But it just has a lot of good tools for the metagame. Uther is really strong. Kangor's in this army is a great way to finish a game because it also keeps magnetic buffs, and also it's one of the decks that has potential. Every deck in the metagame right now currently has to do like unfair things in order to beat things, right? It has to Cloning Gallery and kill your opponent on turn 9. It has to have Shadowy Branduin to kill a board full of 5 attack minions, and then Mind Blast, Mind Blast, Mind Blast, Mind Blast you to kill you from 20. I'm just naming all priest names,
I was like, what are you gonna name next? The OTK Topsy.
It has to be able to pull. It has to be able to make a board full of 5/5s on turn 4 by going Egg, Terror Scale Stalker, Play Dead, Play Dead. Those kinds of things. This deck has coin Spirit Singer Umbra into Meat Wagon, which on turn 4 can get you Spirit Singer Umbra, a Meat Wagon, a Mechano Egg, and an 8/8. All that having to be dealt with, and 2 of those things also summoning other things after they die, even if you deal with it, unless you silence it. Yeah. I don't know where I'm going with this. I forgot everything.
You're saying that...
It's cool. Unfair things are cool.
Yeah, you're saying Death Rattle Paladin actually has a 3-turn curve that's almost literally unstoppable.
It's almost unbeatable.
If you coin out Spirit Singer Umbra on 3, play the Meat Wagon on 4, and then Cube on 5, it is game.
It is. You are done. Unless you played 2 Gilded Gargoyles somehow and they died, and you can coin Psychic Scream, you're dead.
Yeah.
Every one of my anecdotes
thing.
Has Priest involved.
I mean, that's like one board Lord Godfrey cannot diffuse. Like, as much as he is great on the CT side, he just does not. He is not able to handle that.
Yeah, especially since you'd have like 3 8/8s, a 4/6, a 3/4, and a bunch of stuff that summons a bunch of other stuff on turn 5. Yeah, Lord Godfrey's not touching that.
Yeah. Anyways, we kind of detracted a little bit from this game just to explain why Death Rattle Mech Cube Uther Paladin.
All right, that's not happening in this game, though. So forget everything we just talked about.
So the important takeaway is that this deck has incredible mid-game potential and even late-game combos. The problem is that I feel like this deck has always struggled historically with its speed. I think it does tend to... It doesn't have a lot of smooth curves because you end up having so many combo pieces. Because you're like, it's like a Death Rattle Hunter without a lot of good proactive threats. Look at this. Cube needs something to land on. Spirit Singer Umbra is not great to play vanilla. Endless Army needs mechs. Call to Arms is the only thing that you can really play proactively, but is it too late by then? You're already staring at 15 or 30, 16 damage because the attack with the dagger buffs to...
Well, I mean, the deck does have its Paladin, so it has one of the best removal suites in the entire game, which is a quality plus consecration or quality plus wild requirement. So sorry, Dan, I'm assuming you're
I like that you're using the terminology now.
Yeah, but it's pretty brutal.
This Iron Beak Owl is so nutty. That is 16 damage straight to the face. If SamuelTsao would like.
It is the Stone Cold Macadamia.
So many options.
You're so dumb, dude. SamuelTsao
I was waiting for it. One of these days, Dan's just gonna call me out. I didn't think it'd be over that one.
APAC,
I didn't
man.
think it'd be over that one though. That one was tame compared to some of the others that I had planned for later.
Oh man, you're telling me that this isn't even your final figure. You're just ramping. That was just wild. I like 16 to the face. There's not too many ways that you can get punished by this, considering that your opponent already used a coin. I mean, even if Jinsoo ripped equality right now, still toasty toast.
Yep.
All right, next. Jinsoo is DED dead. See, so here's my big problem with this deck is exactly what we just see. Like, it's just got good cards, but it doesn't it doesn't feel smooth enough yet. And it's got like some insane potential swings, but I'm just not seeing it. You know, like all these things are high quality. It's a very expensive hand from a dust perspective. He's got like, 4 legendaries, an epic, and like some of the core cards from Paladin.
Yeah, how dare for the final chance to get to the World Championship.
I play it like, I put that in the same category as like, Elemental Control Mage or like Tempo Rogue or like Rush Warrior. Like solid decks that aren't bad, but they're just not like, they don't have their spot in the metagame per se, or they haven't found their pocket yet.
Well, I do think that Secret Paladin has the shape that it needs to fit inside of a pocket.
Oh yeah, what shape is that?
Of the metagame. Square as our most pockets. But it's actually not quite the shape of a pocket. It's a hexagon. So while it fits in the pocket, it doesn't fit perfectly.
I kind of want a pocket that's a dodecagon. It's 2 hexagons put together.
Like side by side? Or on top of each other? Or...
Wait, you're the one that wants to design stuff, man, from a young age.
When I was 6! Yeah!
Well, now, a few years later, you can tell me what you want to do. But, yeah, this is a Cube Warlock versus Hunter, and Hunter is generally very good against most Warlock archetypes right now. Because of the sheer amount of pressure. That being said, SamuelTsao has a little bit of a slow start. Nothing really powerful. It's more of a hand against like the odd rogue type of scenario. So
yeah, I think you can afford to have a slow start against this deck though. It just Cube Warlock just really doesn't do well against faster decks unless they have Skull the Minari on 5. That really is the only way it can have some game. Or it has a bunch of early game like Kobold Librarians, Defiles, and Spellstones in order to get it to the point where it can just like play Voidlord safely, which is pretty far away.
Yep.
So Jinsoo already drawing his demons, so he can't lackey Pact or lackey anything to cheat out one of the Voidlords from his deck. And if he draws Doomguard, all of a sudden lackey becomes completely useless. So really needs that Skull Minari to get things rolling, or else he's going to be in a world of hurt. So right now he just plays a Spirit Singer Umbra on the board to contest, which barely even contests. It's
maybe
passive play.
I mean, it could also be the case where Jinsoo just needs to survive, so maybe he just plays Prince Tal'Daram as the Misha and try to, like, at least force SamuelTsao to have the flanking strike.
Yeah. Jinsoo looking like a full anime villain right now.
I understood that reference.
I made it and I didn't understand it. That reference was tailor-made for you, Dan.
Thank you, TJ.
I don't watch any anime. So if you had to force me to say what an anime villain even does, I wouldn't be able to tell you. I'll tell you something dumb.
Well, he wears suspenders.
Anime villains wear suspenders? You never told me. I figured they were like...
They also have shirt pockets.
I figured they would like wear rings that were magical and sucked certain emotions out of people.
So you do watch anime?
The greatest.
Should I make that into an anime? Some guy walks around with a magical ring and a turtleneck sweater.
Oh, you can make the ring really powerful, and the only way you can destroy it is to throw it to a center volcano, and Pablo has to go get it.
That obscure. I
Wow,
think
that is like such a 5th level meme that I think we just need to take a step back, DJ. We're going way too far in. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on here. The Spirit Singer Umbra kind of accomplishes very similar things to what Jinsoo was going to do with the Prince Tal'Daram. It's a little bit more mana efficient. And more importantly, it's not a clean kill unless you trade the 4 for 1. So it does force SamuelTsao to react to it. But that Crackling Razor Maw could potentially be disaster for Jinsoo.
Yeah, and the one thing about Spirit Singer Umbra nowadays, as opposed to in previous days, was a turn 4 Spirit Singer Umbra on an empty board, or pretty much an empty board, is not threatening at all.
Yeah.
There's nothing unless you have a very powerful Death Rattle that they can face this Manipulator, Prince Tal'Daram. Then it's slim pickings. You can't play Possessed Lackey. It used to be 5 mana, now 6 mana. You can't cube anything. There's just nothing going for it. It basically just is used as a, well, I'm not going to get to the point where I can make use of it in the late game with cube, so I might as well play it now to absorb some damage. That's its effect. SamuelTsao, unfortunately,
this
playing into Hellfire a little bit, but not really much of a choice.
Yeah, he's got the Subject 9 and Master's Call for reload, so I mean that's potentially 10 cards drawn. Just to give you a context of how insane this can all pan out. 1, 2, 3, 4. But he already drew one of his secrets, so. And it's like Master Calls will draw 3 more, so it's like.
Whoa!
Oh, that is a skull of the Minari, and there are 2 Voidlords and
a Faceless, and a Prince, and a Cube.
Wow.
All right. Well, Cube
This
Warlock
is really explosive.
Cube Warlock is such a bizarre deck in the fact that its win rate is so heavily tied to one single card. And it kind of brings you back to, like, you know, the days.
It sound like this is the first time ever that a Hearthstone deck's dependent on one card as its like foundation.
Well, it hasn't always been that all in, right? Cube Warlock used to be able to do a lot more powerful things without Skull the Minari. Back when Possessed Lackey was 5 mana, Dark Pact healed more, so you had a little more wiggle room. It didn't rely on it. Nowadays, it even more so relies on it. But in the past, there's been decks like, I don't know, Tempo Rogue that relied on like Prince Keleseth to push it over the edge. There's Control Mage, which relies on Frosted Jaina to push it over the edge. A lot of combo decks as well, like Control Priest and Shadowy Branduin, Raza Priest and Raza and Shadowy Branduin. There's been decks that have done that, but I felt like
it's not nearly as important as Golden Minari is to Cube Warlock.
Yes.
I understand what you're talking about.
Yeah,
like Big Priest would love Barnes on tour, but it can win easily without it.
Yes.
Cube Warlock without Golden Minari is a very difficult uphill battle. That being said, TJ, have you tried playing Doomguard from the hand before?
No, you can do that?
It's one secret that'll increase your Cube Warlock win rate.
Or not.
Well, not in this position. I'm just saying that in general, a lot of it I feel like is Cube Warlocks don't have the good. They struggle with balancing whether or not they should play a little bit more greedy or a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah.
And they often choose greedy because it's just so fun to life tap and it's fun to like do all these crazy combos.
Doomguard still has a very low win rate when played from hand. If you look at aggregate stats, but a lot of times it's because if you do have to play it from hand, you're usually in a losing position anyway.
So in this position, there's a few choices for Jinsoo. He can, first of all, cube the Void Lord, so he can create 3 different bodies and invest more Void Lords into the pool and set up for something else better. The problem is that I think his life total is starting to get to a little scary point. Looks like he chooses just a straight-up second Void Lord here. And the reason I think I like this better is just because Carnivorous Cube has more explosive potential should he pull the Doomguard out and he draws a Dark Pact.
Yeah.
Not to mention that he also has Carnivorous Cube and Prince Tal'Daram, so at 9 mana, he has the ability to pull out the Doomguard, play the Carnivorous Cube, Prince Tal'Daram the Cube, and just have a bajillion Doomguards ready to go.
Roughly.
Yeah, rounding up. Now, in SamuelTsao's camp, you are not getting past this wall. Yeah, I mean, that's like, I don't know how to summarize this turn. I'm just gonna say cool story. I think that is the exact way to describe what's happening here. It's like, cool. You know that raunchy animation where the Garrosh is just clapping, like half sarcastically, but half like, you know. That's kind of exactly what's going through my mind right now.
I don't think I've seen that one. I'll use a term to describe this turn that you taught me the other day, Dan. Neat.
Yeah, that was very neat. Oh, man. He's got every demon.
Oh, boy, Oberto.
What's funny, too, is the way things like Freezing Trap and whatnot work is that you can pull a 9-mana Void Lord out. You can't coin it, but you can pull it.
You can coin it.
So many possibilities.
9 mana.
There's a Defile here available, too, to Jinsoo, which is fairly straightforward with the Possessed Lackey. Actually, I wonder if that ends up being a bad thing that he drew Doomguard, because since he has no more demons to pull, he can't actually utilize his Possessed Lackey Defile.
I think that's fine. Possessed Lackey, he's fine just not playing from hand. I think you'd just rather have a bunch of demons that you can pull with the skull. And you can pace him out.
This was also a very deliberate attack by Jinsoo to use the weakened Void Lord, which also means that it'll crack open if he plays the Defile. He could have chosen the higher health Doomguard, or sorry, the higher health Void Lord, and then as a result, everything would have been safer, but he's still not sure about that last... he's still not sure about that last secret, so he chooses instead to cube and Prince Palderam, and I think it's fine because there's no silence. And without double kill command, SamuelTsao really has no way to do this. So I like that Jinsoo set this up because now Lord Godfrey is like lethal.
Pretty much, especially if he summons the second Doom card from his hand.
Right.
SamuelTsao can kind of fill up the board if he wants to with Voidwalkers.
Oh, yeah.
To fend against that possibility.
Wait. Yeah, that's exactly what he should do, right?
But that also plays around, even if there's no Doom card from hand, it makes Jinsoo have to find a way to trade his own board off in order to get full value from both cubes.
Yeah, that's a really good point, TJ. So by SamuelTsao playing minions onto the board, he's actually giving ways for Jinsoo to trade and break open his cube and lethal him.
But if he doesn't play minions, then he really just doesn't have a way to win.
Well, he could hypothetically like hero power and then let his opponent hit him a couple turns and then like draw to kill commands or use Zul'jin to win. But yeah, I know what you're saying. It's still unlikely, but he's like playing directly into what Jinsoo wants anyway. I feel like this is a very close to 0% chance to win by doing this play. That's just my feeling. I don't know if that's actually true, but when you're staring at, you know,
what's the
4 Doomguards are in those cubes.
What's the secret right now? Well, I think it's lethal no matter what.
I think it's Wandering Monster.
Yeah, it is lethal no matter what.
Yeah,
because he's going to be able to push 2 damage in with this, with the remaining Voidwalkers.
Yeah,
and then he's got a Defile setup by. Well, actually, he just got one for free because the. Scarlet Crusader is going to stick around, but he could have attacked into the Leok with the last one. It doesn't even matter because he's got the cube attacks too.
Yeah, and then
Defiles because he's got 1, 2, 3, 4.
He has to have lethal. Like there's a Defile right here
and
just to pop the 2 Doomguards, and then you can just Dark Pack the other ones.
Yeah. There's many ways.
There's like a lot of ways you can do this.
He could just slam Godfrey. I think that'd be lethal too.
Probably. He might kill his own Doomguard.
He can stand up in his chair, do a 360, backflip off of it, and land on his mouse. And then he'd probably still have lethal.
Yeah. There you go. Got him. That is a 1-1 tied series. Jinsoo's cube lineup strikes back. He's got Cube Warlock, Cube Hunter, Cube Paladin.
Yeah, I think that's a big win for Jinsoo as well. The Cube Warlock mid-range would be a little bit tougher because, right as it currently stands, he doesn't need to deal with secrets early on because he's playing defensively. But let's get into game number 3. Jinsoo trying for the Paladin once again, and SamuelTsao trying for the Hunter once again.
I do want to point out that despite this, SamuelTsao is favored in the series. Like, the Hunter is the target, but it's not that significant. Its worst matchup is like 40%, which is still a very good chance to sneak through. And look at that opening hand. And also, no hero power from Jinsoo.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting, too.
Yeah, I think the no hero power is just a nod to the Scavenging Hyena plus Spring Paw.
Yeah, he doesn't have a really good answer with it outside True Serve Champion. He doesn't want to take that extra damage for no reason.
Yeah, and it's kind of a weird, unintuitive play to make, but I think it ends up working out quite well. I think like some of the other decks, I can't remember other decks that you forego hero power against, but like on turn 2.
That's the Paladin?
Yeah. I know Classic there's been a few. I guess maybe even more.
Like, you don't hero power against like priests if they have Northshire Cleric.
Yeah, Northshire Cleric. Even Warlock, if you're playing a super control heavy, you can sometimes not not have a 1/1 on the board eventually for Defile if you're worried about that, or you're not going to attack anyway for Hooked Reaver.
Like Shudderwalk Shaman doesn't want a hero power sometimes because of Volcano.
Yeah, well, control shamans in general, you always have to think about whether or not to hero power because of Volcano specifically.
Yeah. So there's definitely, I mean, I think those are some of the cooler moments in Hearthstone just because of how different they are. If that was the norm, like all you do is unintuitive stuff, I don't think that'd be, I think frankly that's not good design. But I think because it's far and few in between, that's what makes it cool.
Yeah.
And by the way, this Misha ends up being pretty nice here for SamuelTsao because it forces the attack to trigger the secret. But by choosing this, SamuelTsao also does not have to pump the Spellstone, so he can't get out a turn early, which is kind of what he needed. Like, because Jinsoo now will have a turn to respond.
And picks up Wild Pyromancer, so now he has an answer to Spellstone since it's going to be played most likely on curve instead of being coined out. Actually, no. Going to coin out for 3. Okay, this is smart.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what he needed to do. Like, if he waited for one more turn, then his opponent would have 6 mana. And it's like Pyromancer Consecration or Equality, like Pyromancer Equality. Like, you lose your entire momentum. And also, you know, theoretically, this should be Jinsoo's weakest deck just because it's the least amount of games played and its matchups still don't look that good. But I trust Jinsoo to know what he needs to do, even though the statistics don't favor him.
It's a very difficult deck to play, I think, and that's one of the reasons why the statistics lean towards it. There's a lot of players that have reached very high legend ranks. I think More Control reached rank 1 with this deck, or a similar variation of it.
Yeah, I don't know if he played the... Did he play the mech package with it? The Kangor's Endless Army stuff?
I don't think he played Kangor's Endless Army, but he did play...
He did play the
Mechanoeg in the queue.
And he was doing some real work with it.
He was, yeah. And I don't think the Kangor Endless Army really changes a lot. Like having it in the deck. It just kind of gives you one extra punch against like super control heavy deck.
I know he loves that deck, and I personally think it's great too. I always wonder if it's just a little biased because one, you played it and you won a lot with it, so you're like, oh, this deck has to be really good. And it's like maybe just because you're a really good player and you're just stomping.
I lost a ton with this deck when I was trying to practice with it earlier in the previous week before Americas, expecting more of it.
Yeah, there's like some players that I don't even remember the last time they didn't finish top 10, like Hunter Ace, Boar, and like Muzzy, and like all. Like I don't even remember the last time they didn't get to top 25 plus.
I remember the week we recorded Talkstone, the episode where we had Hunter Ace.
Yes.
And while he was waiting for Dan and I to record our segments, he kicked off his shoes, just propped up his feet on the couch, laid out.
He tried to prop out. This dude is literally like, you know the long cat, where like. You just keep scrolling down and down and down. It's a never-ending portrait of a cat, like literally traveling through dimensions and portals.
Yes.
That's Hunter Ace when he sprawls out across a couch. Because I was like, dude, this guy's limbs never end.
They do not.
And it was a sight to behold.
He was just, I don't even know what he was doing. He was playing on like Dan's tablet or something.
No, he was playing on my iPad.
Yeah.
And he was like, all right, I'm top 25 legend. I'm like, you were playing on my iPad with no deck tracker. I was like, well, yeah. And he's like, well, I have to go practice for HGG. Can I borrow your mouse for it? And I'm like, sure.
3 months later at Taiwan All-Stars is when Hunter Ace finally returned that mouse.
Yeah, I wanted him to not give it back to me so I could lord it over him. But now that I have it, I am selling Hunter Ace's mouse for twice that mouse value. So if you want to be blessed by Lord Caspi of Norway, hit me up in my DMs.
Well,
I got a great deal for you.
Long story short, Hunter Ace in his socks on a couch way too small for him on Dan's iPad playing Togwaggle Druid. Jet lagged out of his mind,
and he had,
still was in top 25 legend.
He was like doing some Azalina like memorization mnemonic tactics or whatever. It was like he was like, yeah, like okay, so he's played this, so if I Azalina this, then I should be able to naturalize this, and that also gives me the ability to Azalina again. I have lethal, and I'm like, he's at like 60 health, and he lethaled him. I'm like, wow. Anyways, back to this game. The call to arms was able to diffuse SamuelTsAo's aggression, and more importantly, we're starting to see all the pieces come together. Next turn, there's Spirit Singer Umbra and Meat Wagon to pull out the combo. And then from that point on, Jinsoo's just never going to let go. And to top it all off, Uther of the Ebon Blade is going to give Jinsoo that breathing room to make that comeback and play with his life total in tandem with that Zilliax. So I think everything is looking really good for a potential Jinsoo victory in, you know, the next stage of the game.
Well, this is interesting. This is probably the play that I would have suspected the least because of the Spirit Singer Umbra Meat Wagon interaction. He was able to pull a bunch of stuff out of his deck, but I guess his other players just didn't seem appealing to him. I think Call to Arms would only pull... No, it would still pull 3.
So,
it would have a Loot Hoarder, two Righteous Protectors, and a Blood Mage Thalnos is in the pool still, so... I
think it's okay because you have to think about why would you still want to play Call to Arms. Call to Arms is one of those cards in the past where you just play it all the time because you just wanted to get it out of your deck. But Jinsoo is not playing a combo deck, and he's not playing an aggro deck. He's playing just a straight-up mid-range, adapt to the situation, try to pressure, or try to react. And I think the fact that he can have that Pyromancer or have that Blood Mage Thalnos on call at any time he needs, or Righteous Protector, gives him flexibility to defend against aggression if he needs to.
Yeah.
But he doesn't necessarily need it right now, because otherwise it just gives SamuelTsAo more things to like flanking strike.
Yeah.
That being said, I still like the idea of saving Meat Wagon for Spirit Singer Umbra, so.
But I guess Spirit Singer Umbra with Cube is more powerful.
He also has the ability to do something really cute, which is Zilliax Magnetic with the Meat Wagon, but it doesn't pull the egg anymore, and then you pull other stuff.
It doesn't pull the egg anymore, and I think the main reason, though, is what I was saying is Spirit Singer Umbra is much better with Cube than it is with Meat Wagon.
Sorry, yeah.
If you give your opponent a chance to kill Spirit Singer Umbra before you Cube, turn the Meat Wagon, then all of a sudden the value gets diminished a little bit.
Oh yeah, a little bit. It's significantly.
Well, you still get to pull like a free egg out of your deck, and then of course a free 8/8 on that turn to really ramp up the tempo. But I don't think he's really looking for tempo because he was already ahead. So I think more so he was looking for the most powerful turn he could possibly do, and that would be getting the Mechano Egg out first with the Meat Wagon, and then using Spirit Singer plus Cube to really drive it home.
Well, SamuelTsAo just did Jinsoo, a favor by pulling that egg out.
Thank you.
Although I guess Jinsoo didn't draw the egg, so it's still the same thing. Like, it's one of those things where if Jinsoo had both eggs drawn, that was just like a really unfortunate thing. But giving your opponent that extra draw, unless you're 100% sure, you can't really ever tell.
Yeah.
So now he's got that big play you're talking about, Spirit Singer Umbra.
Oh yeah.
Cube, and wow, it is going to be raining Robosaurs.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Hallelujah.
And then if SamuelTsAo is able to deal with anything on the board, which not likely, then Jinsoo could follow that up with magnetizing that Zilliax onto one of these Mechano Eggs, or even one of the Robosaurs, which kind of seems counterintuitive, but because Kangor's Endless Army brings back the mechs plus their attachments, sometimes just having a 11-10 with Divine Shield, Rush, and Lifesteal, that'll get you through the late game pretty easily, regardless of which way you slice it, so...
There's 16 plus 7, so 23, 26 damage. SamuelTsAo's not dead.
He's pretty close to dead.
Not dead yet. He can set up this Stealth Tundra Rhino and maybe find a way to this a massive Scavenging Hyena.
I don't know.
Or he can search for a beast.
He would have to get like Halazi Snow Flipper Penguin, and even then, I don't think it'd be enough.
He can get Bloatbat and like the lifesteal.
You can get, yeah, but even then, because
or like poisonous. No, but then he's like pops the eggs.
He pops the eggs and he'd be dead because he's going down to sub 10 health this turn.
I mean, he's very close to death right now. I'm trying to find a way. I mean, SamuelTsao also did play Spellstone and whatnot, so maybe Zul'jin, but I don't think it would have to be a magical series of spells. Yeah, I don't even think that's enough.
Here comes the big ass.
Some groovy tunes there, Zul'jin.
Oh no, he shot his own. Dude, you know, actually, if he was able to play the Scavenging Hyena, this would actually be lethal, I think.
Oh, yeah. I think it'd be lethal by far.
Dude, that's so scary. Oh my gosh, look how much damage he was still able to generate. He had 24 damage just right now raw, plus the Leox 27 and Dynamo would have been 30. Like, look how much damage he was still able to potentially generate despite all that.
If he'd been able to play like a few more secrets stuff in the game, maybe some face protect secrets, he might be able to chew through enough of the board here.
Yeah.
To be able to isolate things. But it is Snake Trap, so if SamuelTsao leaves one minion on board, then he's dead, and you realize that he can't quite get through everything in Jinsoo.
Oh man. Now what's so funny is he's going up against a non-secret hunter.
Yeah, that makes it a little bit awkward.
But he still has a secret in his hand. And he has a way to generate secret with Hydrologist.
Yeah.
Oh man, but that opening hand though from Jinsoo.
Wow. Yeah.
That is quite an explosive opening.
The one thing about this Secret Paladin deck is it doesn't have great ways to get through big taunt minions, like Witchwood Grizzly. It's got Blessing Kings and Fungalmancer and Sunkeeper Terran. That's pretty much it. No access to Equality, no like big board-centric turns that Odd Paladin can do with Raid Leader with the Unidentified Maul, which it does have, but doesn't have a way to get wide on that board early on.
Yeah, these are some of the, quote, key cards.
Yeah, these are what make the deck tick.
Hold on. This is not an autofill. This is not an arena deck. This is SamuelTsao's last chance to qualify for the Winter Championship and consequently the World Championship for the Year of the Raven. And he chooses to put his faith in the Thrall Mar Farseer. Now, granted, Thrall Mar Farseer, he works out.
He does.
He was definitely Arnold's
guy.
understudy in Predator before he, went ahead for the handshake, the epic handshake that's remembered in time. But this is not exactly the key cards. In my opinion, I think Bellringer Sentry is very powerful, but also Corpse Taker and things like Fungalmancer, Blessing Kings, Call to Arms are also just really important. But the real linchpin is Secret Keeper and all the secrets that go around.
Yeah.
I
don't even think Bellringer Sentry is that good. It's just the fact that if you're putting a bunch of secrets into your Paladin deck, you might as well play it.
So I think it's actually pretty solid. Like it's not Mysterious Challenger level good, but it's still very. It's think about it like Blessing of Kings versus the Earthen Might. Sorry, I'm blanking out. It's getting a little bit late here. Earthen Might and Blessing of Kings, people are like, well, Earthen Might's just a 2+2+2. But it's like, even though it's scaled down and its impact is nowhere near as swingy, it's still very solid for what it does.
Yes.
So yes, it's not Mysterious Challenger level. It's not Mad Scientist level, but it's still like right there in the middle, and it's very reasonably costed instead.
Yeah. Okay. I'll agree with that.
That's my.
I would agree with that. It's a fair card.
Yeah.
And SamuelTsao off to a fantastic start. Even has Blessed Maul, Noble Sack to buff this up. But Jinsoo does have Houndmaster Shaw plus the Coin Plated, which will give the 5/5 rush.
Yes.
The problem is he knows what one of these secrets is. It's either Hidden Wisdom or Redemption, since he just checked for Repentance. And then the second secret, he has absolutely no idea. And it is Auto Defense Matrix, which
Quickly.
just is going to take a beat. That's for sure.
Yeah. You can
And-
play another secret.
Wait,
8,
he
10,
10
12.
plus what? That's 14
14.
damage. Whoa. Yeah, he can put him to 2 and just have the Blessing Maul swing next turn. Jinsoo would have to remove the board and put something in the way.
Yeah, that is a redemption. But Jinsoo also has Ziliax next turn, which makes it a little bit more complicated for SamuelTsao.
Yeah.
I do like the Blessed Maul this turn because I think you want to get the weapon swings out because you want a Vine Cleaver on 7.
Yeah.
Let
If you even
5
get
and
to that
6
point.
swing. Right. We're gonna plan as if there's the best case scenario and the worst case scenario, and try to see if you can meet in between. Also, I mean, I bet SamuelTsao is wondering if there's any reason to kill Master Shaw, because if you lead with Shaw, you give this opportunity for Jinsoo to maybe draw like the 1 card to beat you, but you're giving up so much damage to do so. You're giving up 6.
Yeah. I think this is head one place and one place only. I think SamuelTsao realizes even if he leaves with how Master Shaw on his board gets cleared, he just has lethal with the weapon swing going to the next turn. And I don't know if the Ziliax is going to save him, because he can maybe, best case scenario, after the Secret is played, isolate the Secret Keeper. Or
Well,
I guess he can isolate the...
I mean,
Oh no, wow.
so now he has the redemption here ends up working kind of badly here for SamuelTsao, because he wanted to revive something else. So now he just Ziliaxes and trades, right?
Yeah, he Ziliaxes trades over the Secret Keeper, and then Candle Shots down the 2-1 that was redemption, and then he's at 5. SamuelTsao has to attack in the Ziliax. He goes up to 8, and then he's out of range of a lot of stuff and has a bunch of taunts to follow this up. Unless,
Jugglers.
yeah, but he gets 1 juggle, maybe 2 max if he picks something up.
Every time I see Candle Shot like just help Hunter barely survive, it's always just by his skin of his teeth. And how important is that immune
Yeah.
for the attacks? And now SamuelTsao has to, suck it up here.
Didn't hit the shawl. Looks like he hit the egg. Nope, hit the face.
That's kind of good, actually.
Yeah.
That sets up for the Vine Cleaver, except it's not that easy. Witchwood Grizzly. Witchwood Grizzly looks really good, although he has to test for the secret first, sees that it's going to be redemption. And that should give him the go-ahead to play Witchwood Grizzly here. It is a 3-11, and unless SamuelTsao has something to get past, which I don't think he does.
No, this is one of the weaknesses I was talking about earlier. This deck, outside of Sunkeeper Terran, it's not an odd deck, just can have access on Keeper Terran, has no way to get through big stuff. He's going to just start having to chop through. Master Shaw's still on the board.
Oh, it's so close. Did SamuelTsao miss any damage in this game? I bet he's thinking about it right now.
No, he definitely did not.
Did he?
He played Secret Keeper, and then every attack just went face. He had the option to trade into Houndmaster Shaw, but then he wouldn't be as close to lethal. The board would have still, I think, shaken out to be... Actually, no, it could have been different in that case, because the secrets wouldn't have been able to be proc that early. Yeah. Now this is there's just absolutely no way. Sunkeeper Terran would work actively against him. Jinsoo's emptied out most of his hands, so Divine Favor's not even that good.
Yeah.
So close, yet so
I
very far away.
If this deck needs some kind of punt option, like Prince Liam.
There's a chance.
Okay.
Noble Sacri... So,
you're
Juggler
saying-
Call to Arms,
Yeah.
plus Hero Power.
The Juggles can get over the hump. SamuelTsao still has a way to win this game.
It's very slim, especially since Jinsoo's just going to play more minions this turn, have a full board, and every single one of these Juggles, or at least the vast majority of them, is going to have to go face.
Crazier things have happened, TJ.
I don't think so. I don't think crazier things have happened. I think if this happens, then forever we could say that crazier things have happened because that happened.
Well, hey, look, I mean, Knife Juggler can pull out with the two call to arms, the Righteous Protectors, and that's 4 attacks. And then you attack with the Vine Cleaver. Look, SamuelTsao will have a certain amount of juggles.
he's going to have maximum 6 juggles because that's all the board space he has. Maximum.
TJ. So TJ,
He has to take a 1 in 8.
I'm ready.
It's not going to happen.
I am so ready for this.
Nope.
Put this apple on your head.
Please.
Impossible.
4 times. That is perfect sequencing because of the way the triggers work. Oh no. Oh. Now he needs to land it perfectly. Oh. Oh. Okay.
Yeah, crazier things have definitely happened than that.
I wanted some drama, man.
That was not crazy. That was sad.
Well, I mean, again, if SamuelTsao, like, imagine if Jinsoo was just a little bit lower in life, you know? He wasn't at 4, he was at 1 or 2. It still makes it really close. That being said, though, this is lethal. Jinsoo's going to take the series 3-1 with his triple cube lineup. And I gotta say, he is a
We are going to get into the game 5. Both of these players with a 2-1 standing so far, and it is the Mechathune Warlock for TIZS from Taiwan and Machamp on his Dragon Control Priest. TIZS has kind of a heavily anti-control lineup, also running the double OTK Paladin and Hakar Druid, so kudos to him for bringing a very singular linear lineup.
Right, and I feel like both these players have the two sides of the coin to the lineup approach for this tournament. So TIZS has these sort of crazy combo decks, the Mechathune, the OTK, as you said, but then Machamp just has Odd Rogue, Even Paladin, the Control Priest, and Hunter, which is just the much more aggressive approach. So both these players being at 2-2 seems that everything's even so far, but it's going to be the Control Priest. It's, I think has a good game versus the Mechathune Warlock because the amount of burst they have, potential, sometimes the Mechathune Warlock has to play with their life total a little bit more because of having to tap through the deck.
Right, but this deck often has to tap fearlessly, so I feel like TIZS will be very aware of how he uses his limited heal effects, Spellstones, Corpse Takers. Definitely probably want to hold on to something during or after Alexstrasza.
See now the Scale Worm's getting the job done.
Yeah, but it does make for a very nice Mortal Coil target for TIZS. He also has to be a little bit aware of overdraw potential. You don't just want to drop the Acolyte here for fear of your opponent abusing it with things like, well, Pyromancer.
Yeah, this is something I discussed last week with Derek, actually, in that one of the strange things about Mechathune Warlock is it's not always that bad to have Mechathune early in the game, because plays such like this, you can just empty your hand out with Galvanizer, because if you hit Mechathune, great. Ziliax is just the cherry on top in terms of the reduction, but as long as you hit it, the Galvanizer doesn't have to sit in your hand for loads of turns. It can just go out straight away, and we see that TIZS making that play now.
Yeah, and it's true. If TIZS also draws his Cataclysm with coin in hand, he actually just has everything he needs and could freely overdraw at that point. Although it's a little bit too early to be thinking about that, I think.
Right.
Machamp here has options to put on pressure with the Twilight Drake. He could also get rid of this board with Dustbreaker, but it feels pretty weak. And he's actually going to prioritize card draw. And I think it makes quite some sense because his hand has Mind Blast and what's that called? Holy Fire. You definitely look like you need Alexstrasza on curve to be able to fully use this hand.
Yeah, and one thing to know as well is, with the way the Mechathune Warlock's been built, TIZS was the player who I saw first sort of innovate this list, and just dropping one big minion often doesn't get the job done because of Wax Elementals, because of the Glacial Shards that, for example, we see in hand. So they can just lock out an attack anyway, and sometimes you get locked out for so long that the minion does nothing at all.
TIZS here with a very nice magnetic target, and he is going to make things very awkward for Machamp to deal with. Over 2 turns, if Machamp had a Cabal Shadow Priest, he could steal away this magnetized Galvanizer, but that's not quite the case. It's really awkward here because of the Divine Shield. You can't just bump and Dustbreaker to get rid of all of this. It might just be a Twilight Drake turn.
Yeah, it's a little bit tough, isn't it?
He could Holy Fire, but it feels really bad.
Well, I think what's important is that there's a chance, and it's the interaction's super weird, and it happened last weekend as well, but the Psychic Scream is very important in this matchup, as it helps because you just refill the deck with minions. So I think there's even a chance that Machamp tries to like slow play this. Just says, well, none of your minions, there's only the Glacial Shard that can force like a self-death, and then the Galvanizer is going to stick around. and then you might play something else, and then you can potentially just scream the board away.
Alexstrasza in the hand with double Mind Blast and Holy Fire. Normally, you don't want to have the Mind Blast this early because you want to Shadow Visions to get an additional one. But if he gets just a Turbo Alexstrasza, like from Machamp's perspective, well, there's a chance TIZS just doesn't have his Spellstone at that point. And Corpse Taker is not an immediate heal. It has to be on the board before Alexstrasza hits the board to actually get any healing done. So I think Machamp has a very singular game plan now. Unfortunately for him, TIZS does have a Spellstone, although it's not charged up. Oh, 2 Spellstones.
There are multiple ways to buff these Spellstones as well, and with Solarium, you have a decent chance of getting it done. And the bonus now as well, if Cataclysm is drawn, along with that second Galvanizer, Solarium is often used as a 1 mana, thin your deck by 3 card.
Right.
Don't really care if they do something or not. It's going to be pretty interesting now because Cabal's Shadow Priest can be used to steal this Galvanizer and just start pushing damage. And although Psychic Scream is extremely important, it's a tough line to walk between you can Psychic Scream to make TIZS draw more cards, which takes longer and prolongs the game, or you can just steal it, go face, push more damage, so your damage spells just end the game as well. So it's kind of a tough one to judge here for Machamp, and it could be the decision that makes the game.
And even if he chooses to go Cabal Shadow Priest, you might even want to put it on the Thalnos to remove a draw effect.
That's
from
also
TIZS.
true.
It's a lot of different decisions here. We saw Machamp reaching for the Dustbreaker on First Instinct, which allows him to push the most damage without having to worry about TIZS minions trading on the backswing. But I think I do like this a bit better. It just creates quite an awkward board state.
Yeah, it's a little bit tough. Probably does have to kill off this Thalnos because of a fear of, say, Defile, just clearing the whole board out of nowhere. And you don't want to do that. You want as many minions on the board as possible.
Right.
Because Machamp will always be considering if he can hold... Wow, the Defile was drawn as well. If he can hold even all his own minions on the board, he can still scream his own stuff back into TIZZ's deck. And that's much harder to play out or to draw because they're normally higher mana cost as well.
This is an insane Defile, by the way. And because he has Cataclysm, he's free to overdraw things now as well. He just has everything he needs. Even if he hadn't had drawn the other Galvanizer, he has Coin.
Yeah. That was the backup plan, right? But he does have Galvanizer anyway, so...
Yeah. And double buff Spellstone. So he's even not that much worried about Alexstrasza because he just has the immediate answer with Alexstrasza itself being the target. Killed by the double Spellstones, healing him for 10. And Machamp, outside of this Anduin, doesn't have additional ways of gaining burst because the Mind Blasts were drawn before Shadow Vision.
Right. Another tough call for Machamp. This matchup, the level of sustain that Mecha'thun Warlock has, considering it's constantly damaging itself with life taps, is kind of nuts, right? You don't expect it. It's why the deck's sticking around. Corpse Taker, Spellstone, even the cheaty Ankle Biters get some work done sometimes, and it's kind of nutty. I do like Machamp's approach here of just, okay, here's 2 minions that you probably can't kill both, and I could start pushing damage.
Yeah. It did look a little bit tempting there to play down the Anduin because you normally like having Anduin active before Alexstrasza, but I think this creates a board state that's a bit more difficult for TIZS to deal with, and if he doesn't, the immediate punish of Alexstrasza is available.
There's the Alex coming down now. Corpse Taker cleaned off. And also as well, something to consider is that we might well see the Spellstones now anyway, but if Machamp can even put TIZS to 4 without any lifesteal, he cannot win because the Blood Bloom will actually just kill him anyway.
Yeah. Actually, I think the Blood Bloom just doesn't allow you to play a card that costs enough to...
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
I wonder.
So you can't even try to cause a draw in that instance.
Oh, okay, sure.
In this case, TIZS would probably want to go for some Spellstones already, but he cannot clear everything on the board.
So you got Coin Solarium. Now that he has a second Galvanizer, the Mecha'thun's at 8, so that's absolutely fine. Solarium, as I said, TIZS probably wouldn't be overly bothered because these Spellstones clear up stuff anyway, that he couldn't clear this off.
Yeah.
He just wants to cycle through the deck as quick as possible.
With the cheaty Ankle Biter, that works out even better. I think TIZS probably has enough cards or has so few cards in deck that he was guaranteed to draw, or close to guaranteed to drawing at least one of them, so it makes sense that he went for that.
I think it's only 1 card or so from the end of his deck anyway.
Ooh, no dragon to activate Duskbreaker, which could have been quite effective here.
He could just scream.
Yeah. I think he might be forced to at this point. The awkward thing is he didn't have the time to play Anduin, so he can't fit in the ever crucial ping in there.
Right. Yeah, that's the only thing that makes Psychic Scream not completely busted, is that it's such a high mana cost. It's not that they can't afford it, it's that they can normally do very little. It's why like Omega Medic can be okay, because you can Scream and heal for 10 on full mana, of course. But in general, the Scream turns are, as you said, a heal or a ping normally.
In this case, I think Machamp knows healing is useless, so he would want to start with Shadow Visions, although I'm not exactly sure what he's looking to get. Possibly even just saving Visions for another Anduin ping makes more sense.
I think he could Visions into another Scream to try and keep Screaming stuff back. But again, without Anduin being live, it doesn't change the game outcome. It changes the length of the game, but not actually the result. So one more card left.
And TIZS, funnily enough, if he wants to get rid of the Waxy, he has to do it himself because it can't attack. Fortunately for him, he has myriad ways to do so. Lord Godfrey.
Go for the Spellstone for 7. Pretty much going back up to full health.
Right. Doesn't play a minion because of Scream. And he's made it so that if Machamp wants to Scream, it's very inefficient. Although, seems like he's forced to. That's the last card in deck now for TIZS. Machamp...
Pyro Scream?
I think he has to, yeah. Is it relevant to put your opponent at 27 rather than giving yourself what could be an additional... Well, no, your opponent is just going to tap anyway, right? So...
Right. You buy one turn, the tap acts like the 2 damage anyway, but it's hard because then do you say, well, do you have to actually Mind Visions to get another Scream to Scream again?
Oh, man.
But then again, TIZS probably just doesn't play anything, right?
Yeah, he definitely won't. So I think Machamp is going through all of these options we mentioned in his head, and we can see it because of what he's been pointing at.
Darkness speaks.
Is just going to go for the Scream this turn, though. It's just not going to be enough. The damage isn't there.
Okay, so the Scream did come down.
Well, you tap, and that's it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like the Scream came down to buy the turn, but it didn't really turn out to do too much here. And look at this is what I was saying earlier. It's like the heal is just crazy. You just don't expect it. Like this is tapped all the way through his deck. Took some beating as well early on with a couple of minion attacks, but now he's just at 27 with his whole deck drawn effectively. Is TIZS really considering playing anything?
Wait, he doesn't even need to tap because he's going to draw.
He could just pass.
Yeah, you only tap if you expect your opponent to have a second Scream with their own minion, in which case you're probably winning anyway because they don't have the mana to fit in pings outside of a Northshire Cleric, in which case you're still safe.
Yeah, I wonder if you just tap because of the Scream.
Maybe.
Just to finish the game quicker outside of everything else.
Oh, I didn't realize that one of the Mind Blasts was off of Visions. So maybe that's the case where TIZS was a little bit afraid.
Well played.
There's the well played from Machamp.
Wow, well played.
And you see how close that became. Machamp in one turn put TIZS down to 10 after TIZS had drawn his whole deck. But that is Mecha'thun, that is the Blood Bloom. It's not enough. Cataclysm's going to be played, and that is going to be game as TIZS takes it versus Machamp 3-2, going to a 3-1 record. Whereas Machamp, unfortunately, goes to a 2-2. And mainly, unfortunately, for me, because that does not help with my predictions so far. So this may be the week that I finally fall, but that Mecha'thun Warlock just keeps getting there. It surprises me every single week so far this playoff.
I mean, I'm sure it surprised a bunch of players as well, and seeing that they took it to this playoffs, it's definitely